are in yet another conversation with ACI, the global leaders in payments. We have with us Jeremy Wilmot, who's the group president of ACI, and we're going to take through the view on the global payment scenario, especially under this challenging environment and happenings in the marketplace. So Jeremy, you've been a veteran in payments. I mean, ACI has been more than 3.5 decades in payments. And you've seen various kind of, nuances and, crazy things happening in the payment environment and how. So payment really is as people say, it's the circulatory system of any enterprise, banks, or institution. It is the blood circulation.
Right.
And ACI, what I understand, you connect the dots. You act as like a heart, but you try to pump things and get things happening. What do you see as the global payment scenario?
Well, thank you, Swarup, and thank you for the opportunity talking today. Payments, electronic payments, is all about taking cash out of the system. Traditionally, when we started in 1975, nearly 45 years ago now, it was about automating the distribution of cash so that you didn't have to have a teller who would give you the cash, and you could have an automated teller machine give you the cash, and that's where ACI started. But things have moved on significantly since then, and we want to take cash out of the system completely. So we also want to ensure that we move to a real-time capability in terms of paying cash and gaining the settlement of that cash. And we want to make sure that we digitalize cash for every stakeholder in the world. So whether you're a bank, you're a merchant, you're a consumer, or you're a corporate, or you're one of the many payment specialists that sit in between the four stakeholders that I just mentioned, the real-time, any-to-any digital delivery of payments, products, and services is what the whole payment industry around the world is trying to achieve.
When you look at that global scenario which you just described, and you look at India, India obviously has gone through some challenges. What do you see is happening in the payment space in India?
There have been a number of things that have happened over the last few years. The demonetization policy that the government introduced a few years ago has impacted the amount of cash in circulation, so that was a great start. The mobile rollout in India, so more mobile handsets than bank accounts in India. A good proportion of those are smartphones, but also the text-based phones, which can be used for electronic payments as well. The Aadhaar digital identity system, it's global leading, groundbreaking to have an entire population. There are only 2 countries in the world with more than 1 billion people, and India has put in place a centralized digital identity system that really is critical to the success of real-time payments. And then the National Payments Corporation and RBI have put in place the backbone and the infrastructure for real-time payments with UPI. And when you put all that together, the digital identity, the accessibility of mobile capabilities, the UPI infrastructure, you really have this perfect storm of events that comes together to create real-time payments in a digital economy. So India has got a model that it's extremely smart in the way that it's been rolled out. It's very practical. It keeps banks at the center of the payments ecosystem, the real-time payments ecosystem, which is critical in terms of ensuring trust in the system, in terms of controlling fraud, but also in terms of the ability to roll out products and services quickly in a manner that corporates and consumers will consume quickly. So whichever way you look at it, I think India very much is at the forefront of the modernization of payments, the digitalization of payments, and very much it has a model that many countries around the world can look to and take example from in how to successfully roll out electronic payments in a mass scale and quickly.
It's very encouraging to hear that about India. And really, in India, we see even in remote location and rural, people use payments so quickly.
Right.
UPI,
Right.
And they
Yeah.
IMPS. So, I think that's ease of payment. The UX you talk about, user experience, is quite good.
Right.
But having talked about that and demonetization,
Yeah.
how do you see the complexity of the risk is being addressed, especially in terms of identity theft, in
Right.
terms of data breaches, in terms of governance, in terms of compliance,
Right.
and frauds?
Whenever a new payment service comes to market, the trust of the consumer and the trust of the corporate is critical. And it's very hard to build up the trust, and it's very easy to lose the trust. The trust can be lost in seconds. Many people in India have a mobile device, whether it's text-based or whether it's smartphone. You can send a unique one-time password to that phone. So when there is a facial recognition authentication that happens, there can be a dual factor one-time password to the registered mobile phone, and that significantly reduces the risk. Other strategies that get used are around the understanding the spending patterns of individuals, understanding the spending patterns of corporates, and therefore being able to score an individual consumer or corporate in terms of their behavior and what their normalized behavior is. And then to be able to recognize patterns outside of that normalized behavior at a consumer or at a corporate level. Typically we 95+% of what we do electronically is in a normalized way. And then the third level of it is risk strategies around the transaction itself. So scoring a transaction versus scoring the actual consumer or corporate. And that transaction can have a risk profile score on it. And again, that can be done in a real-time environment. So the one dual factor authentication, the consumer scoring, the transaction scoring can all be done real-time in today's world. And with the emergence of 5G, there'll be even more authentication methods coming online. When you put those three things together, you now have a very powerful risk capability, and one can keep fraud levels down to low single-digit basis points.
It's amazing, Jeremy. So we heard about the payment trends globally. We heard about how India is so important.
Yes.
And in India's people are emulating what we're doing in India in complexity and technology. And we heard about the solutions that ACI has, which are helping sit on the center to help innovation and help the change which is going to happen in the future. So Jeremy, thanks a lot for sharing this insight with us. I hope the viewers are going to find it interesting.
Very
Thank you.
good. Thank you, Swart. Thank you very much.